Good afternoon. What a weird feeling to stand inside a museum that's not visited by people, almost totally deserted, but it's something we need to do to curb the coronavirus, and the Navy Museum will be closed up to at least the 14th of April. But I thought let's take this opportunity to take you through the museum. There's many of you that may never have the chance to visit the Navy Museum here in Simonstown. So we're going to take this opportunity to have a walk through the museum. Last month in February we spoke about 3 Ships Month, and we're going to have a look at 3 of the exhibits that detail these the 3 ships that are mentioned. First of which was a converted minesweeper, HMSAS Southern Flow. She was actually a whaler that was converted to serve as a minesweeper during the Second World War, and she served in the Mediterranean during the war, and then the ship was sunk in the Med off Tobruk on the 11th of February 1941. Was it 42? I think it's 42. We don't have many exhibits on display that depict the history of the vessel, but behind me you'll see a 6-pounder Hotchkiss. Now this was the type of cannon that was used on board these vessels, and we have a similar type of gun that was of similar caliber that was on the minesweeper. Here you see a photo of the sister ship, Southern Maid. So Southern Flow was very similar. There's a photo of the 6-pounder in action on board one of those converted whalers. Okay, we're going to take a walk up to the upper display area now to have a look at the other 2 ships. We've moved up to the upper display area. During the First World War, the South African government recruited men from across the country, African men, to serve in what became known as the South African Native Labour Contingent. These men served in an auxiliary capacity in France, and a group of men, more than 800 of them, took the troop ship SS Mendy to go to France, and while crossing the English Channel in the early morning hours of the 21st of Feb, the troop ship was rammed by another vessel, the SS Darrow. We're looking at a painting, the original painting of Ron Belling, that depicts the sinking. So Mendy was struck by the SS Darrow and sank. Many of the men were inside the forward cargo holds, that's where they slept, and ended up in the water, and more than 600 of them died in the waters of the English Channel. Obviously the water was very cold, and chances of them surviving was very slim. So that's the second ship. We spoke about Southern Flow. We spoke about SS Mendy, and now we'll go to the third ship connected to 3 Ships Month. The third vessel or ship connected to 3 Ships Month is the frigate SAS President Kruger. Kruger was a Type 12, modified Type 12 frigate that was in service with the South African Navy from the early 1960s up to the last of which were retired in 1985. That was President Pretorius. We have quite a sizable display here at the Naval Museum honouring the Kruger, which sank in the early morning hours on the 18th of February following a collision with the fleet replenishment vessel Tafelberg in an exercise, during an anti-submarine exercise. Unfortunately, there was loss of life. 16 men lost their lives during this incident. There's the names. And every year around February we get visitors, either family members or survivors that visit the display here, Navy Museum display. To also remember the men that were lost. So I hope you have enjoyed this very brief virtual tour of the Navy Museum. We still exist, we just closed, and hopefully we'll be open on the 14th of April. Stay safe and go well.